In our social segment today, we're looking at media ethics. Are we practicing any ethics in this country at all? Do we even know what the media ethics are? Are the authorities responsible for enforcing these ethics doing their job very well? And if you sign up to be in the media, whether you're a journalist or not, if you're a media practitioner, are you ready to go by the ethics of the profession? Well, that's what we'll be looking at in total this morning. And we're joined by the GJA president, Afel Moni. Together with the NMC, they issued a very strong-worded statement to the Daily Guide the last time they published the picture of the late PV Obeng, and they got a real beating in the editorial of the Daily Guide as well. Okay, and he's joined here by Ronnie Gomez.
Yeah, Romy Gomez.
Romy.
Yeah.
And Romy is from the Center for International Media Ethics.
Correct.
You're both welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll start with you, Afel Moni, the GJA president. You are overseeing all these. I mean, you see the media every now and then come up with acts that are considered very untoward. The GJA has been quite vocal, but that's all you can do, right?
Not really, because apart from speaking out against acts of ethical misconduct, we also believe that ethical standards are not the product of happenstance. Like Rome, they are not built, or they cannot be built in a day. So there's a need to educate. There's a need to conscientize journalists. There's a need to sensitize them to realize the necessity, absolute necessity, to internalize what ethics are all about and to reflect ethical standards in what they write, in what they analyze, in their analysis, in their comments, in everything journalistic. So we seize every opportunity to go around doing seminars, and GJ is financially disabled, so we are.
Are you?
Yes, because we are overly dependent on our sponsors and partners. And last 2 weeks we were in Kumasi, and we also seized the opportunity. We brought journalists from the northern belt of the country, and ethics, were an essential part of our program. So this is something we do on a regular basis. But the challenge is
it's not paying off.
It is. I think the answer should not be categorical no, because the media standards are not uniform, and the entry point is so loose that anybody at all can decide to join the profession. So as we build capacity, the weaknesses also show in certain sections of the media. So it's like feeding a shark. We don't need to stop. We need to inject more doses of ethical, principles in our job, and pray that our people will.
Pray.
Yes.
Rami, let me come to you. He's actually detailed what the GJA has been doing by way of seminars and conferences, educating media practitioners on what the ethics of the profession really are. What role or how much premium would you put on the media owners, because they employ some of these unprofessional journalists or practitioners?
I think lots of the job need to come from within. Actually, I think the GJ as a body can do its part, but the journalist itself need to be able to have that conscience, need to be able to analyze what he's trying to put out. So we can have all the training, like in the Center for International Media Ethics. We do training, we go all over the places, and we tell them this is what we should be doing, this is what it should look like when we are outside. But the discussion should come from the journalists, because when you don't feel it in your gut, when your gut tells you it's bad, then it is bad, and there is not a way to compromise. And I think the responsibility, I will put more of the responsibility on the media person to be able to come up with the correct decision at a specific time, to be able to deliver what the public should be having instead of what he wants. the public to have.
But that is not what we are seeing. We are seeing a lot more media stations putting their parochial interest first, and not that of the nation.
Yeah.
So how does your plan even come in?
Well, that is definitely something that a body will probably need to look at, because if the employer is the problem, then we have a big task.
Should we still have the National Media Commission in the GJA? Is it necessary to have them? Because if we are still having problems, even 2014, we are still sitting on TV and talking about bad journalists who are constantly bringing the profession into disrepute. Is it necessary to still have the NMC, or you would want the NMC to be empowered more?
Well, I just heard Doctor said they are in a financial crisis.
That's the GJ.
Okay, GJ.
Is the NMC financially crippled too, or you wouldn't be able to?
Certainly yes, because as we speak, they've not received the allowances for the past 9 months.
So this is why the journalists are misbehaving.
No, I think.
Or should I say this is why we are misbehaving?
You raise the question. We can be viewed from the spiritual context. Just because sin abounds, doesn't mean we should retire all pastors, or we should declare them redundant.
So we should still have GJ and NMC.
The situation would have been worse. It would have been worse. The present situation would have been worse without the GJ and the National Media.
You saw what the Daily Guide did with the late PV Obin's picture, and I saw the statement from GJA and the National Media Commission. I read the statement and I thought you actually went all out to tell them exactly what should be pertaining in the country. You saw the editorial, you saw their response.
We saw the ferocious backlash.
So there is no respect for the GJ and the National Media Commission.
In an attempt to hit back, I think the paper, goofed badly.
But does anyone care if they goofed? Their paper is still there, they are selling.
I think posterity will judge the paper for what we did.
Really?
And, we have up-and-coming journalists, we have people who are so discerning. I always tell journalists that we shouldn't take our readers for granted. Some are more intelligent than we are. Some are more knowledgeable than we are. And some are more responsible than we are. So in an attempt to show your capacity to insult, you paint yours.
How did you feel about the response?
It's one of my saddest moments in journalism, because it takes a strength of humility to accept your fault. So okay, yes, no, we are human, and as the saying goes, perfection is impossible in every human institution. So we all have our fair share of imperfections. So when we err or display a semblance of imperfection, we should readily admit, and it's enshrined in our code of ethics, that when you err, come out to say I'm sorry or to correct that offending material. But to defend the indefensible and rain insults, dishwatery comments on constitutional bodies and professional bodies, what I try to portray, it is.
Did you see this response we were talking about?
I just came into the country last night.
Sorry for you. But that's you can always read online.
Okay,
there's no excuse. Anyway, but you get the picture he's trying to paint. Now, how do we get our journalists? You have made a good case that the journalists themselves should respect the integrity, they should have a conscience and know what is right and what is wrong. But this is the case, majority of us are not doing what is expected of us. So where do we go? Do we just allow people to take us for granted, hoping that the GJ and NMC will issue a press statement later? And if indeed we don't also have a conscience, then we'll respond to them ferociously as the Daily Guide did.
I think we just need to keep
listening to the two of you is as if we are lost in
No,
this country, really.
we need to
It's not a
keep
basket
doing.
case, Anna. It is not a basket case.
Okay.
We need to keep doing
The same thing.
not the same thing, but the bodies that are englobing or that are helping, that are trying to make the profession a better one, we should try to empower those bodies.
Okay.
Because
could the GJA have taken a different angle by sitting with Daily Guard instead of the statement you issued? Maybe they felt that you bruised their ego a little bit. Could you have gone for a better strategy, or not better, another strategy, an option that included dialogue with the Daily Guard?
Interestingly, I spoke to the editor before the statement.
China?
Yeah, no, fortunately, I spoke to him that day, and we were trying to reason out why he was trying to defend what they did, and every issue has one or two sides, two or more sides. So he came out. We also came out with that issue that we have the right. The DJ is not only an umbrella body of journalists in this country, but we are the very embodiment of professional standards. We should model the way for others to follow. So if something goes wrong, we should not, for heaven's sake, keep mute over that. So I pointed out to him where they went wrong. I thought the front page story was okay, but that picture rendered the entire story one of poisonous quality, so toxic, ethically toxic. So I drew his attention, and he didn't answer, only to be followed by the editorial. But it tells you one thing, that nothing is more hurting than inflicting a reputational injury on a journalist or organization. So you see, it's more hurting than even imposing the heaviest fine on that paper. But by naming and shaming, which we did, and we are not ashamed of what we did, we still stand by what we did. By naming and shaming, we could see that the people were so hurt, they felt it. That's why they responded in that ferocious manner. We continue to name and shame as long as people trampled upon the very ethics, the very principles which underpin this noble profession called journalism.
Okay, and in the defense of the Daily Guide, that particular picture had been circulating on social media. We know how many people, public figures, celebrities, what have you, who've been slandered, on social media.
Yeah.
Who or which authority would you say? I mean, on social media, you can't really go and tell me what to tweet and what not to tweet.
Definitely.
But how do we regulate?
I think that's a big thing to do. I don't think regulation of the social media is going to solve that problem.
Okay.
I still think the problem need to be solved from
The journalists.
Yeah, from the within, from whoever is putting that thing out.
Right.
And we have to be, as human, we have to be humble enough to admit, whatever we put out there and correct it. We make mistake and you correct it. President, anybody make mistake all the time, and you should be able to come out and say, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was going to hit that hard. But then if you make a mistake and you're trying to defend that same mistake and you just make the ball tighter, and I don't think it's a good way to handle such situations.
Okay, Mr. Moni, back to the issue of ethics. You said that you've been organizing training for media houses. Now let's focus on the media houses broadcasting in the local languages. And recently, we have seen several reports come up. And even for those of us, I listen to a lot of the local radio stations. Sometimes I want to listen to them for comic relief. They exaggerate the news. They make it flowery. They add so much gloss to the stories. And it also comes back to the issue of ethics. What has the GJA and the NMC done for the local media houses?
Readily, I can cite guidelines which were prepared by the NMC.
Is it working? They are not working.
They are not working. So this at least.
So it's a waste of our money.
The point that
I'm putting
at least
guidelines
the NMC
together.
and GJA have done something.
Okay.
We realize the magnitude of crucifixion of the ethics of this noble profession. So NMC, by GD, came out with these guidelines
Okay.
to try to draw a line of distinction between what should be done and what ought not to be done as far as broadcast in local language is concerned. Let me commend our professionals in the local language media for fulfilling a constitutional obligation of the right to receive information and the sovereign right of the individual to receive and disseminate information in his or her own language. Local language broadcasting has come to transcend the barriers of illiteracy, and to the extent that everybody now can listen to radio or can contribute to the national discourse in his or her own language. So it's a very big boost for Ghana's journalism. But at the same time, we are overly concerned, Nana, about the level of disregard, blatant disregard for the ethics of the profession. You mentioned exaggeration. The sensational tilt they give to every story, the excessive injection of jocularity in what's supposed to be serious news. The news, you're not supposed to add your comments. You present the bare facts for the listener to judge. When it comes to your own program or your feature or something, that's where you can pour your opinions. But the line of distinction between news and comments are so blurred to the extent that anything at all. News has been rendered something like a concert journalism.
Yeah.
So we move from. It is a dangerous trend we need to arrest, and we understand that we need to package it in such a way as to make it easy to enjoy, easy to digest, easy to consume, or interesting to consume. But at the same time, the code of ethics, puts some ceilings or parameters within which we need to operate as professionals. But I don't know, we need to do something about this situation, and it's getting out of hand.
Okay.
And we are overly concerned about this.
Would you agree to assertions that we should probably have done more? All this training that he's talking about, we should have started before the proliferation of the airwaves.
Definitely, that would have been a good way to start. But even though we did not, we can still rectify.
It's not too late.
Yeah, it's not too late. It can never be too late.
I'm sure you've listened to the radio stations, the local
Definitely,
language stations.
Yeah, they really.
You should hear them, talk about HIV.
Yeah.
It is derogatory, absolutely derogatory, and it defeats.
Dishwashing.
Exactly, it defeats every effort the Ghana AIDS Commission, for instance, will put in to fight discrimination. It's just distasteful.
Definitely. I've seen that.
What is your center doing about this? How can you help?
I think we need to talk. We need to get together.
For a while.
If we bring out more laws, because it's not the law that has necessary.
We have beautiful laws.
We have stuff, but we need to sit down under something and try to reason, try to break it down and come to something more workable than what we should actually be doing.
Mr. Moni, should the NMC be empowered, or should they be tooled more to take drastic measures against media houses?
They said that bad practices give room for bad laws, and the present circumstances reinforce the need for us to take a hard look at the NMC powers and to see how best the NMC can be empowered to be more responsive to our present circumstances. So the NMC has signaled the need for that body, constitutional body, to be given some teeth to bite. We have certain jurisdictions which have that power to to sanction airing journalists or media institutions. But I believe we need to marry the freedom we enjoy with the kind of sanity. We need to inject some sanity into our business system. Otherwise, we risk losing the confidence and the respect of the very people we are supposed to serve.
Okay. Just before we wrap up, let me come to you, Romy Gomez. Do you have any training programs lined up on ethics coming up?
Currently, no.
Not yet.
Not in Ghana. Currently, in other parts of the world, maybe. But what I wanted to add to the previous question was, what if we have one body, like in the US, we have the National Media Commission that regulates everything, not GJ is separate.
Well, GJ is actually a professional body.
Yeah, I mean, not. I'm sure we have in this country, we have like different media bodies that
yeah.
All these media bodies should respond to one authority, right? And we need to empower that one authority to be able to enforce all the things that we are doing in the body. I'm not sure if that's what we have here. If that's not what we have, I think that's something that we can think about having.
Mr. Money, would that be the way to go?
The law which establishes the NCs gives it the power to take every measure to ensure that professional standards are upgraded. But we all know that law is not working, and there's a need to do something to make it work. And as the present situation, lends itself to all kinds of options. One, the foremost one is to empower the NMC, whilst stressing underlying the need for journalists to internalize their own ethics, to educate them on their own ethics. Because just like playing football, how can you play football without understanding the rules of the game?
Yeah.
You always attract a yellow or red card from the referee.
But they are punished, so they
are punished. Yes.
Yeah, they do the right thing. Once in a while, you find a few glimpses, but then because they know the laws, and they know very well that they could be banned for a year, 2 years. So their laws. But FIFA is very active
in terms of ethics.
The GFA, for instance, is very active.
Certainly, yes.
Yeah.
But in terms of ethics, certain jurisdictions make it clear, abundantly clear,
You're right.
that ethics are penalty free. So we should see ethics as an intrinsic part of the profession and not a pro forma ritual with little or no value.
Okay.
So there's a need for all of us to see it as a professional value.
When I listen to you, I feel your frustration.
Certainly, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not a basket case.
Yeah.
So we continue to wave
There's
hope.
a window of opportunity.
Yes,
somewhere.
we continue to wave hope in the face of the slough of despondency in the media.
Okay. So Afel Money, the GJA president, still has a glimmer of hope that one day we'll all be practicing the journalism that we all want to see. Thank you very much.
With God, all things are possible.
With God. And you're prayerful too. Thank you very much, Afel Money, our GJA president, and Romy Gomez, Center for International Media Ethics. Thank you very much for your time here.